possess that exceed those of Earth humans? You mentioned telepathy.
Well, see, that's an interesting question, and I don't know that I necessarily like the way you put it. The abilities that they have are latent in everybody. They just haven't lived in a society that has been screwed with like we have been here. They're all telepathic, they're all clairvoyant, they're all healers because they're taught all of the sciences. They're whole. I guess that's the only way that I can put it to you, is that they're completely whole. Every soul knows who they are. They know who they've been. They know what their reincarnational past has been. They as a soul have a personal agenda, which every time they incarnate, they're consciously aware of. So they know where they're going. They see improvement in themselves life after life after life. We, if we hadn't been so screwed with here, would have the same abilities. We could very much be where they are. But we've been manipulated incredibly for the last 5,700 years on an intense level every day. Our real manipulation really started about 14,000 years ago when the Orion group started manipulating our DNA structure. So it isn't that they're better, because they're not. We're just different. We're a little bit behind than they are because of our manipulations here. But the real bottom line here is we're all spirit. We contain a soul. That soul is a part of all that is. And that soul has been really trying to be recognized in each of us. And it hasn't been because of the material and the belief systems that we have evolving around us being earth people, about being physical, and about the real truths of our essence, of our existence, of who we are, having been blinded from us, from our spiritual teachings, from the religions, and us being convinced that we're something that we're not, that we're physical, that we're animal form, and we're not. We're spirit. Our spirit animates these physical forms. Period.
Now, the serpent race has apparently been here a very long time, long before the genetic experimentation by different extraterrestrial groups took place. As Sitchin mentions, these genetic experiments on the planetary population had as an objective the creation of a slave labor force to work the mines, etc., because the extraterrestrials themselves would not do hard labor. Now, where have we heard of that before? Our own creation of slave labor, which emulated what the extraterrestrials had done before, to us. According to Morane and Vasace, the first genetic melding between a human species and the primate race occurred 28,731,007 BC. That's how far back they began experimenting, and there were many prototypes. All our concepts involving language and social structures have all been introduced to us by extraterrestrials, both good and bad. Our ancestors were taught these structures. According to Morane and Vasace, Adam and Eve were not the first man and woman at all. In fact, they were not even individuals. They were tribal races. According to Morane, negative extraterrestrials are able to maintain control and manipulation with technology, but he also said that the single most important race as primitive as our own, is through the water supply. You have to have water. This is a prime reason that fluorides, which affect the hippocampus in the brain, are added to the water supply, to reduce resistance to tyranny. Study the psychobehavioral functions of the hippocampus. Atlantis' origin of the Illuminati philosophy. Over time, civilizations came and went, imploding in on themselves. The civilization of Atlantis was one of these. The priesthood that survived the sinking of Atlantis became known as the ones from Naga. According to Morane, the descendants of this ancient Atlantean priesthood are known popularly as the Illuminati. We know that those philosophical concepts exist today. Unfortunately, the main concept is that the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many. I seriously have a problem with that. Human war and defense orientation draining the planet on fear. Morane told me this in 1991. In your time and space, the expression of fear will be a challenge to you all. For any of you to be in fear, you lack a clear understanding of most situations. We have observed that your world is at a most confused point in your history and evolvement. We understand your remarkable drive and commitment to being alive. We, however, are not in understanding of your need to create tools of death, expecting that they will keep all in a space of understanding and peace. We observe that you build, create and plan in a space of fear, not in a consciousness of love, so your defense positions of institutions that create and employ are always in a state of unraveling and disintegration. We share this because they drain you and your earth of energy, both spiritual and material. Fear always has to feed. Fear does not create itself. The fear we observe is difficult to understand. It depletes you of your focus on the original intent, and is a very secretive energy. Fear withholds love. This is most saddening to see and feel. How can you share understanding and love, when so many of you are withholding from self and each other? Please feel the words we as a race are trying to express to your race. One of your original intentions in creating your physical reality is the idea of creating and learning to manipulate and express yourselves through physicality using your consciousness. It is your consciousness that the isness has given you, and in fact all things that bear spirit. It is this gift that has been clouded, and most importantly, clouded by fear. This creation is completely irrational to whom all of you are. We have come to understand that withholding love only creates perpetual disintegration. We have discovered in our own galaxy the ruins of vast races, achieving recognition, that have ceased to exist. They destroy themselves simply because they withheld love, and drained the very life force out of their intent, and imploded and destroyed their self-creation. The first projection of fear is denial, an emotion of incredible restriction. Denial and fear result in the complete opposite of the reality it claims to be. Fear is based, from our perspective, on a misunderstanding of one's own worth and security. We have discussed this amongst ourselves, about your race, and we have formed a perspective based on your history. Many of your religions have helped and hurt this process. Many of your world's beliefs have many convinced they are simple creatures of nature. Your science teaches that your physical form is a pool of chemicals thrown together by accident, so that you are all an accident, living meaningless lives of chance. Valerian note accidental evolution is one of the foundations of Darwinian thought, upon which present-day materialist science is based. It has no actual validity. You fear a God whom a book says is a loving God who will throw you into an abyss for making a mistake. Many on your world have come to understand that in your world fear, and the idea of fear, is your enemy. All of you struggle between understanding and fear, reason and fear. This struggle is in no way predetermined. Our perception is that this struggle will either lead your world to peace and responsibility, or to extinction as a race. This would grieve us. Valerian note again, the concept that life is a struggle, each against all is a component of Darwinian thought, so completely integrated into our cultural science and sociology. It is a dysfunctional belief system perpetuated on the population. I would like to share something else with you. This is something by Visace create another domain of knowing, communicating and being. In other words, the domain of generating your intent needs to be more distinct. Your physics, as you call it, is a good example of this calling forth. There have been men on your planet who have called for new domains of thinking that never before existed. They invented it, and they didn't fantasize about it. They didn't pretend. They literally created a new context for what you now call your physics. Your humanity is strong with these kinds of examples. No being, however, makes the distinction that this is what they are. I would like to give you an example. Your concept of human rights was something that did not exist.